I thought I was just playing with a quiet little girl in the dark. A few minutes later, the police pulled her body out of the water. That night started out completely normal. It was after work. My fiancée and I had dinner, and like what we usually do, we drove to a park nearby to go for a walk. It was one of our regular spots. There's a walking path there that circles around the lake. And we have done that route so many times that it had become a routine for us. Usually the place is busy, especially on weekends. Families, joggers, couples, kids playing around the open areas. But that night felt different the moment we got there. It wasn't empty, but there were definitely fewer people than usual. The weather that day had been horrible. It was one of those nights where the heat doesn't really go away even after sunset. The air was thick, humid, and hazy. Even just walking at normal pace felt tiring. Some parts of the path around the lake were poorly lit too, which made the whole place feel quieter than usual. About halfway throughout our usual route, my fiancée and I were already tired. We decided not to finish the full circle around the lake. Instead, we took a small detour off the walking path and made our own way down towards the shore, where a few people were sitting towards closer to the water. It was much darker there. I could tell there were other people around us, but not clearly. Just silhouettes mostly, shapes sitting quietly by the shore. Some a little farther away than the others. I couldn't really make out the faces. We sat down and we just started talking about random things, nothing serious. Just normal conversation after a long day. That was when I noticed a little girl standing in short distance away from us. She looked like she had been playing by herself. She was holding a ball, and after a few seconds, she started walking towards us. At first, I thought maybe she was looking for her parents, or maybe she had mistaken us for someone else. But when she got close, she simply tossed the ball away towards me. It caught me off guard. I picked it up and I smiled at her, and without saying anything, I tossed it back. She caught it. Then she threw it to me again, so I stood up and played along. For the few moments, we just passed the ball back and forth. It felt harmless, just one of those random little interactions that happens in public places. But there was something strange about her. She never said a word, not once. I tried speaking to her casually at first, just simple things. I asked her where her parents were, no reply. I asked her name, still nothing. I thought maybe she didn't understand me, so I tried again in English, even in Arabic. Still nothing, no response, not even a nod. She just stared at me and kept playing. I couldn't see her face clearly either. I was standing with my back partly toward the shore, facing her, and behind her was the lake. There was a faint bit of moonlight coming from behind her. Just enough to outline her figure, but not enough to show me her face properly. It created this strange backlight around her, like her face was always hiding in the shadow no matter how close she was. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I just assumed it was too dark. After a few more passes, I threw the ball back to her, but this time I misjudged it. It went just toward over her hands and bounced past her toward the water. I immediately ran after it, but it was too late. The ball had already reached the edge and slipped into the lake. For a second, it just floated there, close enough that I thought I might still be able to grab it. But then it started drifting farther out. The girl stood out there watching it. Then she started crying. Not loudly, not screaming, just this silent, broken kind of crying. That part still bothers me the most. I could see her body language that she was upset, but there was still almost no sound coming from her. She turned away from me and started moving towards a few people who were in the water nearby, like she wanted to ask them for help retrieving the ball. She lifted her arms towards them like she was trying to get their attention. But even then, I never heard her speak. I felt terrible. I kept watching the ball drip farther away and thinking that this whole thing happened because of me. And that was when I noticed movement behind us. I turned my head, and a small group of people were approaching from the path with flashlights. Two of them looked like police officers. With them was a couple, and even from a distance, I could tell they were distressed. The woman looked like she had been crying for a long time, and the man looked tense, scanning the area if he was terrified, missing something. They came closer, and out of instinct I asked what happened. One of the officers answered. They were looking for a missing little girl. The parents had been searching around the lake for hours. I remember feeling this strange pause inside me when he said that. I glanced back instinctively towards where the little girl had been standing. She disappeared, as if like she was never there. I was about to say something, maybe ask what she looked like, maybe point in the direction of where she was. But before I could, one of the people in the water screamed. It was so sudden and so loud that everyone around the shore turned immediately. The scream came from a woman who had been wading in the water not far away from where the ball had drifted. She stumbled backward, shaking violently, unable to speak. The people near her rushed closer, asked what she saw, but she couldn't form any words. She just kept pointing towards the surface of the lake. Everyone followed where she was pointing. I did too. There was something floating there. At first, my mind went straight to the ball. I actually thought for a split second that maybe it had drifted back closer to the shore. But then I noticed the shape. It was too large, too still. The police rushed down toward the water while the woman kept trembling. By then, people around us had fallen completely silent. The officers moved into the shallow water and began pulling the floating shape closer. I remember staring at it, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. It was small, too small. And as it came closer to the shore, I could finally make out the clothes. That was the moment everything inside me dropped. It was a little girl, a small girl, wearing the exact same clothes the girl I had just been playing with. For a second, my mind refused to accept it. I kept thinking maybe I was mistaken. Maybe I was mixing details in the dark. Maybe I had imagined the similarity. But I knew it was her. The same height, the same shape, the same clothes. The same little girl who had walked up to us with a ball and never said a word. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I just stood there while the parents broke down the moment they saw her. I remember hearing the mother crying. I remember my fiancée asking me if I was okay, because I must have looked completely pale by then. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had just happened. How could I? How could I say that minutes earlier, I had been standing there throwing a ball back and forth with the same little girl they had just pulled out of the lake? That I have tried speaking to her. That she had cried when she lost her ball. That she had been right there. No one would have believed me. And maybe that's why I never told this story properly until now. But what still keeps me awake sometimes is not just the body they recovered from the lake. It's the thought of what happened before that. Because if that really was her, then who I was playing with in the dark.